All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to your Club Argaux fall wine shipment tasting. So, tonight, for the next little bit of time, we are going to dive into your fall wines. Everything that was shipped, those 6 beautiful wines that came in your kits for your fall shipments. If you have not received yours yet, do not fret. They are on the way. Just a reminder on that they do, your membership renews every 3 months from the exact date you signed up. So if you have any questions on that or when your fall wines are coming, just let me know. Shoot me an email. Okay. It's club@argaux.com. If you ever need to email you guys, it's club@argaux.com. And now most of you know at this point, or have seen me before, but I am Melissa Taylor. I am your Club Argaux director and sommelier with Argaux. I am your literal best friend in wine, and I'm the face behind the person who texts you, helps curate your orders, events, email, you name it. That is me that you guys are generally interacting with. So I hope that you have enjoyed everything thus far. It is a pleasure to be here tonight. And again, kind of take a deeper dive into your 6 fall wines because I want to break down some tasting notes for you guys, maybe what to expect with each wine, kind of talk a little bit about each one. And then we're going to discuss some food pairings too, and why we sort of chose these wines for fall, especially with our upcoming holiday season. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in, my friends, because we've got 6 beautiful wines to cover. So again, these are for your fall shipment. I hope everybody enjoyed their summer shipment, by the way. Certainly we'll have to report back. Shoot me a text or email. But let's talk about fall because I'm feeling it. It's cold out. I love in California when it like drops below like 70 basically. We all start wearing, turtlenecks and jackets. I think it's amazing, which I'm originally from Florida, so really nothing has changed for me. So beautiful weather changing outside, you guys. And with that, generally, we see a change in cuisine. And we also can see a change in the wines that we drink. So drinking for the season. So we have 3 whites as we normally do, and 3 reds that we're going to cover. We're going to start, as far as our whites go, with this Albarino right here. This is going to be our number 1. So it's the Val de Migas Rias Baixas Albarino. I'm going to break all that down. Okay, so our first white wine that we're going to talk about. I'm not sipping on this one yet, but I'm going to cover everything with you. So Albarino, you guys, really, really, really fun white grape variety. It is delightfully refreshing, and it's generally a coastal white. So usually it grows on what we call the Iberian Peninsula. But specifically where Albarino is most associated actually is from this really small place in Spain that you'll see on your labels called Rias Baixas. Okay, and it's right on the coast. Right on the coast. So that's why we like to refer to Albarino as our coastal white grape variety. It loves it. And what it can do that I think is really special, that really distinguishes Albarino from other white grapes, is it takes on this salinity factor. So it's really loved for its kind of like rich stone fruits. And by stone fruits, I mean, apricots, peaches, nectarines, plums, etc. Okay, so it's rich stone fruits, that hint of salinity or saltiness, and this zippy, bright acidity. Really what Albarino is loved for. So this Albarino specifically that we have here again, kind of note these fun new Club Argaux stickers, which I'm obsessed with. This Albarino comes from the oldest and most coastal vineyards grown in Rias Baixas. So remember, we're sitting right on the coast of Spain. Okay. It's a true fruit, as we mentioned, of the Atlantic Ocean. So that oceanic refreshment that this Albarino kind of takes on is very pure, right? It's right there. It's light, and it makes the wine super mineral driven. So it's probably going to finish in your mouth as you taste this with that salinity. And it'll probably feel like a super zippy high acid. Okay, your mouth should be watering here for sure. Excellent daytime sipper, you guys, especially in fall. It's football season right now, so I'm a big football girl. Just to mention that, go Bills. My family's from upstate New York, but this I love with like guacamole and chips while I'm watching football. So there's that for you. Guacamole and chips while I'm watching football. But again, just think very pure, very refreshing, very light, and mineral driven. I'm also going to relate this to some holiday food pairings in just a little bit whenever we dive there. So what to expect though, as we taste that Albarino? Think of the stone fruits that we mentioned, right? Those rich stone fruits. So you could throw in nectarine and peach. We could do apricot, right? I would also note lemon, almost like a lemon zestiness, melon, okay, and green apple. Very common to this grape variety. Now, our focus with that Albarino, though, is going to be that beautiful ocean spray we talked about, being right on the coast. And then something that'll also come into play is this little bit of almond skin, kind of bitter texture. So that'll help kind of add to the texture of the wine, which is great, which is why I also love Albarino for fall, because it's a little bit of a lift up from some of our super light whites. Okay, it's got that added layer of texture. And occasionally we can see even what we call like a lees contact here. Not something that you guys really need to know, but it's a really cool winemaking technique that can also add more texture and this kind of like creaminess to the body of our wine, which is really fun. So cool other thing about this Albarino specifically, we talked about where it comes from, talked about some tasting notes to look for. This is low alcohol, you guys. So this sits at about 12.5%. Again, that's kind of why it's great for those football days or even just our daytime sipper if you want to pair with appetizers, okay, or anything light and fair. But this is 12.5. So low alcohol, 100% sustainable farming practices. Everything is native here, only what we get in the vineyard. So this is a great daytime sipper. This is not going to put you over the edge, which I love. And also comes from a woman winemaker, excuse me. So that's pretty cool. Fun thing to note about the Albarino that I just want to touch on before we go to our next wine, but the Val de Migas, okay, right here on the label, right there, Val de Migas comes from a Spanish word, migas, or witches. Legend has it, these magical figures, okay, witches, if you will, have inhabited the entire valley of Galicia, aka in Spain. All right, the overall bigger region where we're talking about surrounding Rias Baixas. But it's thought that these magical figures inhabited the entire valley of Galicia, a Terra Miga, the witching land. So pretty cool. Again, kind of fitting with like our Halloween, just our holiday season. We thought that was a really fun note. And it's an absolutely delicious wine. So there we go. A little bit of play on our Val de Migas Albarino, again from Rias Baixas and Spain. That's a 2021 vintage. Love it. All right, guys, on to our next white. Okay, here we're going to talk about, I'm grabbing all the bottles for you so we can reference them. Okay, we've got the Angelo Negro. Hopefully everybody can see these. The Angelo Negro Ornata Longue Favorita Vermentino. Long-winded name there, but we're going to also break this down. Now, technically, the region that this is coming from is Langhe. Okay, technically, this is coming from Langhe. So that's the region, and we're sitting within Italy. Now, Langhe, this kind of over-encompassing region, is really within Piedmont. I feel like that's what most people have probably heard of. Okay, Piedmont or Piemonte. And generally, this is a pretty cool region in Italy. Now, the grape here is Vermentino. Vermentino is a super important white, particularly of Tuscany, actually, and even Sardinia. So some of our coastal places, all of Italy sees influence from the coast, but some more of like our island places, okay, and Tuscany specifically. But this one actually is coming from northern, right in that Piedmonte region. Vermentino is another really cool grape variety. It can be super versatile. So can offer producers, we can do oak styles, we could do unoak styles. It's a top blending grape, okay, also. So it's well known, it's well loved, it appeals to a lot of people. I like to kind of suggest Vermentino for any of my people who even like Chablis or Sancerre, okay, or even, I don't know, well, we already talked about Chablis, right? So any sort of unoaked Chardonnay, definitely Sancerre, because it's also got a little bit of that herbaceousness. But if you guys know that you love those wines, this is really cool to go for. So that's going to be the Vermentino. Now, as I said, sort of appeals to everyone, kind of manages to be like a very linear wine without sacrificing the weight. So it gives us enough of that texture in that body without sacrificing still being like a light white wine. if that makes sense. Also going to be a lot of sort of bright stone fruit here. Again, those peaches, those apricots, that nectarine sort of quality. Okay. And it's usually producing a bit more fruit and a bit more texture and body for Pinot than Pinot Grigio. That would actually be another one. So as I already said, Sauvignon Blanc lovers, especially Sancerre, Chablis drinkers, if you love that unoaked Chardonnay with that minerality, and also my Pinot Grigio, if you want just a little bit more fruit and texture, this wine is for you. That's where Vermentino is going to come into play. So really, wherever your palate lies, because that's 3 very distinct different wines, give this a shot. Okay? It makes it a really good fall transition wine. So what to expect particularly from Vermentino, kind of similar to our Albarino that we talked about, lemon, okay, white peach, right, those stone fruits. But with Vermentino, I also find a bit more of the floral character. So think like geranium, okay, but just white floral blossom. You could probably also throw pear into this Vermentino as well, like a green pear, which is really pretty. And then there's going to be a little bit, just a touch of spice. So like some white pepper. Now, also with Vermentino, as we kind of mentioned with that Albarino, that sort of like almond bitterness that we might get, you're going to get a little bit of that here. That's usually pretty common for me in our Italian white grapes. So this Vermentino is no different. So also a little bit of that bitterness, okay, almond skin, if you will, and some minerality component here too. Could go like wet slate, wet stone, right? Anything of the above. Okay, good. Vermentino, as far as this wine specifically, okay, the one that we are looking at, again, the Angelo Negro, label right here, show it again. Okay, Vermentino or Favorita, which is what they have listed, as it's called in Piedmont, okay, earned its name when a king, Emmanuel II, declared it to be the favorite grape. So just a little fun fact there for you, really playing into the fact that we already mentioned that Vermentino can appeal to everyone. Okay, it's versatile for winemakers, again, can be unoaked, oaked, but it's also really versatile for wine consumers. Okay, and depending on what you like, my Pinot Grigio, my Sauvignon Blanc, my mineral-driven, unoaked Chablis drinkers. Good. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Last thing to kind of note on this is also, of course, responsible. Right here at Argaux, we always source responsible wines. We want to drink good wine that's good for you. We want you guys to be drinking the same. So this is also 100% organic farming practices here, and also hand harvested and all native. So as I mentioned with that Albarino, everything right from the vineyard. Okay, that's grown on the grapes, which is great. And about only 2,000 of that one. Yeah, 2,000 cases of that one produced. Super small, you guys. These are the wines that we want to focus on with our club. And these are exclusive to you. So anything that you get in your club shipments, that is just for Club Argaux. You guys can always reorder them if you love them. They're on your member profiles, which I'll talk about towards the end here. I just kind of want to give that shout out. If you love the summer wines, you can reorder. If you love these wines, you can reorder. They are just for you guys. We are exclusively sourcing for Club. We want these to be only for you. Good. All right, let's talk about the third, which I actually am sipping with you right now. I'll grab the bottle here. Hey, we've got the Domaine Rougeau Le Grand Bout Côte d'Or Bourgogne Blanc. This is generally a crowd favorite. We love Domaine Rougeau here. You guys have probably heard us talk about them, but this is the newest vintage of the Grand Brut that we have not had in a very long time. And so, of course, when we got our allocated wines, when this was coming back in, we said, great, this is going to be Club Argaux exclusive. This is just for you guys, because this is generally, it sells out pretty quickly. And this is usually a crowd favorite. So, of course, when we talk about Bourgogne Blanc, something to note here, that this is everybody's beloved white grape. This is Chardonnay. Okay, so 100% Chardonnay, okay, but with the elegance of Burgundy. We like to call this wine specifically our Petite Pouligny. And when I say that, I'm referring to Pouligny Montrachet, right? One of the hierarchy sites in Burgundy. Okay, so a lot of people, I feel like I've heard of Pouligny Montrachet. This is our Petite Pouligny. You're getting all the beautiful fruit of that prestige vineyard and location in this glass right here. So while this vineyard sits about 500 meters, okay, from the Meursault Charme, another prestige Premier Cru vineyard, Meursault Charme, very close. Okay, this wine does have a little bit of kind of like a lighter, sort of racier profile, but still with that beautiful texture and minerality that is so reminiscent of Burgundy, but particularly Pouligny Montrachet, right? Than Meursault. So we just named a lot of different sort of places in Burgundy. All I want you guys to remember with this wine is just you're getting a really good bang for your buck. Okay, this Grand Cru, again, being 500 meters from one of the best Premier Cru vineyard sites in Burgundy, Meursault Charme, this is killer. This is a steal. And this wine always hits well above its price point. So this was kind of a no-brainer whenever we got that allocation back in. We were like, this has to be fall, and this has to be for only you guys. The production level here is very, very tiny. So we are extremely excited, again, to be able to offer this exclusively for you guys. It's less than only about 100 cases produced. Only about 100 cases produced of this Grand Cru. Also, 100% organic, of course, right? Our responsible farming, some sort, and also native here. So native and hand harvested, again, right from grape to glass. Nothing added, nothing taken away. This is even unfined, unfiltered. So think, and I'm going to taste this with you. So let's cover some tasting notes real quick. I know I just said think, but I just realized I, of course, have the Grand Cru. I was like, I got to sip this, right? I wish I could sip them all, but we can't do that on a Monday night. So we're just going to sip on this one. Right off the bat, you guys, I mean, that nose is really stunning. It's just so elegant, so pretty, so elegant, so fresh. Okay. On the palate. Yum. Wow, guys. Okay. Green apple. So almost kind of reminds me a little bit of almost like a caramel green apple, which is really weird, but green apple, right? Lemon, but it's like a little bit pithy. Think of like lemon pith or lemon skin. And I would say pear, but it's also a little more underripe. So of course, as I taste this with you, I can get a bit more specific as far as what we're sipping. So we've got green apple, but it kind of reminds me of just like a caramel green apple, which is interesting. Lemon pith, underripe pear. I would throw in white floral. Again, if we can't pinpoint what white floral for some reason, just say blossom. All right, apple blossom, pear blossom. Okay, one of our fruits. And it's got that beautiful, just kind of like toasted almond character, toasted nut. Maybe that toastiness is what is reminding me of caramel. Maybe like a creme brulee. All right, throw that in. And also that beautiful minerality that it kind of finishes with here on the back palate. Okay, this sort of wet stoniness, which is awesome. Again, I mean, Rougeau does it always, but for Burgundy Blanc, newest vintage here, that is the 2020 again, that is hitting far above its price point. And also not super high alcohol, you guys, so around 13%, just average there. You're getting a steal. Fun little fact about the Grand Cru for our little table talks. That title, Le Grand Cru, specifically means large droplets. And then Côte d'Or. Now, the Côte d'Or is actually trying to figure out the best way to explain this. Burgundy is broken up. When we look at Burgundy, right, which sits in kind of like our eastern central France, Burgundy is kind of broken up in two places. Okay, the Côte d'Or being this slope, if you will, this region, this slope of different vineyard hierarchy places within, okay, in different AOCs, different smaller appellations within. So the Côte d'Or is like the whole slope, right? So Le Grand Cru means large droplets, and then Côte d'Or translates to golden slope. So this wine, how Domaine Rougeau labeled it, this wine is large droplets of liquid gold. Isn't that fantastic? I love it. And he's not wrong. He is definitely not wrong. Enjoy that, you guys. Hey, all three of those whites, absolutely stellar, perfect fall transition wines. Again, in just a second, I'm going to break down why these are going to be perfect with some of our holiday meals. And we'll talk about that. But really hope that you enjoy those three. Stellar whites that the girls help source for you guys. All right, let's dive into our reds. I'm swapping out some things over here. We've got 3 beautiful reds to cover too. Okay, we're going to start. Grab mine. Here we go. We're going to start with this one, you guys. Hey, this is our, again, hopefully you guys can see here. It's our 2021 Massimago Duca Fidel Valpolicella DOC. Okay, so this bottle right here, love these labels. Another woman winemaker, I think she's fantastic. And I'm kind of obsessed with her labeling, which is really cool. You don't necessarily always have to have a good label. You certainly don't have to have a good label for a good wine, but she happens to do both. So we'll take it. Now Valpolicella, let's break this down. So again, we're back in Italy. So we had Spain, right, with our Albarino, our first white. We were then in Italy, in northern Italy, in the Langhe region, okay, Piedmont, if you will. That was for the Vermentino, was our second white. And then we went to France. So 3 different countries there with our white wines. I love that. Then we went to France, right in Burgundy with our Bourgogne Blanc. Now we're going to be back in Italy, okay, with this red wine here, Valpolicella, really cool red grape. I was just studying for D4 for my diploma, finishing up my exams, and I was diving back into Italy during my studies. And it's really interesting because when I study, I also like to taste kind of what I'm studying because it really helps me then almost like retain the information. It's easier to remember sort of these styles of wines or maybe specific characteristics about the region. So I kid you not, the fall wines had already come out. We had already chosen them, etc. But I had revisited the Valpolicella before this tasting, and I was like, why don't I drink this ever? Like, this is such a delicious wine. It's the region's most famous wine, by the way, again, for Valpolicella. So we're sitting in central, okay, right in central Italy. But if you've ever heard of Amarone della Valpolicella, okay, it's actually it's the grape here is Corvina. I don't want you guys to necessarily focus on that because you'll often see it referred to as Valpolicella. So Valpolicella is the region. Again, we're looking in central Italy. So that's not the grape. It's not the grape for those that are just curious. This is majority Corvina. That's usually what you're going to find in Valpolicella. Okay. But again, the region's most famous wine, which most people have probably heard of, is Amarone. Amarone della Valpolicella. And those are actually partially dried grapes used to kind of like increase concentration. They usually have like a high price point behind them, but also made from Corvina. So this isn't like a downgraded version or anything. This is just Corvina from Valpolicella, not made in that dried style. I wanted to break that down a little bit. This is just not made generally with that heavy drying off the vine style that we see with Amarone. Okay, so just keeping that in mind, this is going to be a lighter bodied example of Valpolicella, which also, because it is that lighter bodied style, sort of this like more fresh fruity, it's going to help us transition from summer to these kind of like red sauce creamy food items of fall, which again I'm going to break down. Bright red fruit here keeps it super refreshing, while that kind of savory and herbal element gives it depth. So this is a really good go-to Italian red for the season. And I already said this, but I just revisited Valpolicella when I was studying, and I was literally like, why don't I drink these? They're outstanding. So light, so delicious, so fruity and herbal. It literally pleased everything happening in here. So I love this wine. Please give it a go if you have not yet. Cool things to mention: certified organic, as have the past 2 been. I think our first one was 100% sustainable. Also hand harvested, native yeast. There we go, following our pattern, you guys. Grape to glass, that's what we want to see. Minimal additions of anything, right? So grape to glass. We want to keep additives and preservatives out of our wine. That's what we're focusing on. Another woman winemaker here. I mentioned that with the label. I think she's fantastic. And less than 1,300 cases of this produced. So again, also our small production. Now, as you sip on this or smell, okay, sip or smell, you should probably get like an overwhelming red fruit. First of all, characteristic, bright, fresh, strawberry, okay, cherry, A lot of that sort of herbal element, so just dried herbs, okay, maybe bay leaf, right, and a little bit of spice. So I'd throw in like some white pepper there, and kind of this cool like balsamic note, the cool balsamic note. So Valpolicella, also low alcohol. Low alcohol. I believe this one is sitting at 12.5. It is, look at that. Light, bright, refreshing, fruity red. There you go. With fruit and herbal and depth. I mean, you just can't go wrong. Majority of the grape variety here, Corvina. Okay, but that's our Valpolicella, you guys, from Mossy Mago. Huge fans of this. This is gonna be a perfect wine pairing too for Thanksgiving. Again, we're diving back into hang tight because we're almost through our wines, and I'm gonna give you some food pairing tips before I leave you tonight. We will talk about that. Okay, good. All right. Again, swapping out some wines here. We are moving on. Okay. Oh, you know what? Just while I'm swapping out, you guys, because there was one thing that I did want to mention just on this label. Because I also just love what she does. All of her labels are a little bit different, but the label actually is portraying characters that are in search of an author, which I think is really unique. So traces of you are in every bottle, is what Camila likes to say. And wine, which we totally agree with this motto, which again is why we love her, but wine is creativity. So this sort of, they're in search of an author, which I think is really unique. And if you can free your imagination, that's sort of with wine. Wine is the creativity that can free your imagination. So that's sort of where she was going with this. Pretty cool. Okay, here we go. Next wine. I already grabbed it. We've got our Flaneur by Grant Coulter, winemaker there. This is the 2018 Flaneur Cuvée Constantine Pinot Noir. We had everyone's beloved white grape variety, Chardonnay, right? This is generally everyone's beloved red grape variety. Maybe first or second to Cabernet Sauvignon, who knows, but it's up there, and it's Pinot Noir. 100% Pinot Noir here. And this is actually coming out of Oregon. So within the Willamette Valley, Oregon, right in the United States. And again, winemaker is Grant Coulter of Flaneur Wines. Also super small case productions, about 780 cases produced here. We can cover the specs again, you guys, but every single one of these has been organic or sustainable. This is also organic, also hand, also native, unfined, unfiltered, even vegan friendly with this one from Grant. So another responsible focused wine that we want to see. And this 2018 Cuvée Constantine, it's actually a limited edition. It's a premium selection. So you guys have maybe seen Flaneur before. I do want to give an ode to that. We do have some of Flaneur's other wines. This is a new vintage, first of all, and also a limited edition premium selection. It's more of his hierarchy of vineyard sites, if you will, if Oregon had that. Okay, this would be one of those. It's a premium selection that we did source exclusively for club members because, again, our focus here is always season. And so this is really perfect. This is kind of like a #1 perfect wine for the fall season. So again, we wanted to just give an ode that you guys have probably seen Flaneur before, but you have not seen this wine. You have not seen the Cuvée Constantine. And so we brought this in just for our club members. We know that Flaneur is normally like a crowd favorite. So hopefully you guys think that with this as well. It's got, I mean, beautiful finesse on the nose, elegant nose, very elegant nose. Certainly reminiscent of Oregon Pinot Noir. It's a little bit more fruit here than maybe we would see from Burgundy. Okay. But I want to sip it with you guys, cover some tasting notes here too. I mean, delight, absolute delight. I am craving that now as it's getting cold out. A lot of wild berries here. A lot of wild berries. It's almost a little bit brambly, just kind of fun. A lot of red plum, red cherry, of course. And there's almost a little bit of this like a savory sort of umami kind of roasted mushroom character, which is pretty cool. You could also throw in for our earth, you guys, like a forest floor. Sure. You know, leaves. Why not? It's got a little bit of this kind of like a tea leaf quality too. So if I have any tea drinkers, good. And this beautiful 5 spice. 5-spice, allspice. Again, we're going to relate that back to food pairings, but delightful. I mean, excellent, excellent sort of body. It's just bringing enough of that weightiness that we crave entering into the cooler months with that beautiful bramble and earth and red fruit and savory umami. Another delight from Flanor, especially with that premium selection. So Cuvée Constantine, just to talk a little bit about that, and Grant actually did these labels specific for this wine, brand new label, which I'm a huge fan of. So make sure you guys take a look at that. Flanor is kind of giving a nod to the wanderers of life, right? Wanderers, which is always really fun. Taking life at a slow pace and enjoyment. But Cuvée Constantine is a nod to one of the great Flanors, our wanderers. And in his essay, the painter of modern life, Baudelaire, who Grant Coulter is referencing here, Baudelaire, who he believes to be one of the great Flanors of life, did a work, did kind of like a journal work called The Painter of Modern Life. And he writes in that of a journalist turned street painter, and that we can kind of see in this fixture on the sprawling promenades of Paris. It's called Constantine Guys. Constantine Guys. This is all based off sort of like this essay, this journal that Baudelaire created about a journalist turned street painter. Really cool. It's such an eccentric and detailed label that I think is really neat and something to talk about. So our premium selection Pinot Noir coming from Flanor Wines in Willamette Valley, Oregon. We've got one more I want to make sure have time here to cover too. Some holiday food items, call out a few more things that are just for our members. So last but not least, you guys, we have this guy right here. It's our 2020 Storm. We love Storm. Curtis Vineyard Carbonic Cabernet Franc. Now, Carbonic is actually the style of winemaking here, so I'll talk briefly about that. But the grape variety is Cabernet Franc. And Cabernet Franc, for those of you who don't know, Cabernet Franc is actually the parent grape of some very popular grape varieties, the main one being Cabernet Sauvignon. It is also a parent grape of Merlot. Really neat. And Cabernet Franc is loved, one, for its overly herbaceous notes, which is just really unique. But these reds can be super complex, and they result with a lot of really pretty raspberry, also some bramble here, and that bell pepper. Okay, that green herbaceous, what we like to call pyrazines. So that is what we're going to get with this Cabernet Franc. Very distinct wine. Very distinct wine. And this one in particular from Storm that we have for you guys. So this is a small lot series. It's site specific. So this is single vineyard Cabernet Franc. And it's the newest addition to Ernst Storm, his lineup. Now, Ernst Storm sits within the Central Coast, of California. So Storm Wines is a label, Ernst Storm is the winemaker, and he's right within Santa Barbara County, right within Santa Ynez Valley. Okay, so in our Central Coast of California. And again, this is small lot, only 85 cases of this produced. That's it, guys. Super, super small. Vineyard, single vineyard, site specific Cabernet Franc. So really, really unique wine. And Storm, via that special winemaking technique, Carbonic, that I was talking about, that I'll break down, was able to create a very drinkable, fruit-forward Cabernet Franc style without losing that herbaceous character of the grape that it is known and loved for. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more of this very drinkable, very fruit-forward Cabernet Franc style, still maintaining the herbaceousness of the grape. And the reason he kind of did that, one was, of course, to have something that was a little more drinkable now, but it also makes it really food friendly. I'm going to dive into. So we use this sort of carbonic technique, and this is really just something that happens intracellularly. It's super natural kind of style of winemaking. If you guys have questions on that, I don't want to give a full science thing, but again, just email me, shoot a text to me, right? I'm your pocket som, so just let me know, and we can geek out over some fun winemaking techniques. But overall, you guys, that carbonic method Okay, this more natural style, and we use, whole clusters of the grapes. It just produces this very drinkable fruit forward wine. So this is excellent. I mean, if you guys have never had Cabernet Franc before, highly recommend. This is going to be your entry into Cabernet Franc, especially because of that lighter style. And I even like to serve this chilled. This wine can certainly withstand a little bit of a chill on it. Ernst, who is originally from South Africa, brought all his beautiful winemaking techniques again over to the Central Coast. And this is, again, following our same pattern, but this is 100% sustainable. Also all native. So everything grape to glass, unfined, unfiltered. And that super, super small case, 85 cases, guys. That's it. So as we sip on this, I love Cabernet Franc. This is another one. I was diving into that Valpolicella, and I was also revisiting. I was really studying the Loire Valley of France at this point, which Cabernet Franc is quite common there. But I was like, why don't I drink more Cabernet Franc? This is just so good. I forget we kind of get so used to drinking our regular wines that we know and love, and that's again why we created these 6-packs. We want to break that, kind of break the mold a little bit, get you guys to try in some new, really delicious, fun wines that you can't get at a grocery store. So that's the whole point. Now, on the nose, on the palate, I love that. I chilled mine right before this. Again, don't necessarily need like a really strong chill, but put that in the fridge, you guys, for about 30 minutes. Great. Slight chill on that. This wine can handle it. So bright cherry, bright red fruits, pomegranate, a little bit of blackberry character in there. Kind of this beautiful purple flower. Let's call it violet. Why not? That's pretty common to our Cabernet grape. So we're gonna call this purple flower violet. And then there it is. I mean, those just delightful green herbaceous notes. So green bell pepper, like a fresh cut green bell pepper. It's also got a little bit of this almost kind of like spicy, zesty kick to it. So spicy, zesty kick, but that is just so drinkable, so good. Fun thing about this label too that I love to talk about that Ernst does with actually most of his, I shouldn't say most of his wines, but some of his very unique wines, is his daughter painted this label. So his daughter, Elsa Storm, who is 8 years old, created this fun label, which is really, really cool. So that is our 6 wines, club members. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know we're kind of coming up on an hour here, so I want to quickly dive in to some holiday items. I hope that you guys kind of watch this all the way through and get some good tidbits, and we dived into 6 of those beautiful wines. So let's do it. Okay. 2 recipes I'd love for you to focus on. I sent this out in your newsletters, but I just want to make note of it in case you haven't seen them, didn't know that you have them. You do. You do. You have exclusive city guides that have been developed for you, and you also have recipes that have been developed for you. Now, the recipes we do put on your cards, your wine shipment cards. So you had one for summer, you have one for fall. You'll get them with every shipment. So you can always scan and then it'll pull that right up for you. But if not, you guys can always go to your little, if you're on the Argaux website, go to your member account. So the little person up in the top right. And then once you're there, it'll pull up your account and you can click on My Membership. And when you're in the My Membership page, you can look at product. Okay, so any exclusive products that were selected for you guys or that are only available for you guys to buy, you'll find discounts and everything in there. And then you'll also see content. And content is where you might see, different events added. You'll find your recipes, you'll find your city guides. And 2 that I just want to call out quickly in particular, because we do have Thanksgiving coming up, is 1, the shaved Brussels sprout salad with citrus dressing. That, you guys, is a no-brainer pairing with that Albarino. All right, this one right here. That is going to be perfect. That bright acid of the citrus is going to match the high acidity of this Albarino so beautifully that you guys, it's going to mellow out in your mouth. You're not even going to realize how much you're salivating. So try that. The shaved Brussels sprout. I know sometimes people eat Brussels sprouts over the holidays. That's a really good one to try and a great pairing with the Albarino. Even if you don't make that one, feel free to pair your Albarino with something like that. Anything herbaceous. And once we kind of dive into sweet potatoes, second recipe I kind of want to call out is that sweet potato hummus. That would be an excellent pairing with this guy right here, the Vermentino. Remember, we said this one is going to have a little bit more texture, little bit more floral, just sort of like this added oomph. This is for our Pinot Grigio, our Sancerre, our Chablis drinkers. Hey, Sauvignon Blanc, that's Sancerre, right? Chablis, that's Unoak Chardonnay. This is for you guys, that Vermentino. Test out that sweet potato hummus pairing. Would be excellent with that. But both of those two whites would be great with anything that's a little bit herbaceous. So high acid whites, again, think that Albarino, even your Vermentino, okay, offer a mix of usually fruit and spice combined flavors that complement those hard to pair veggies like Brussels sprouts, like green bean casserole, as well as other sort of, carb heavy favorites, stuffing, mashed potatoes, sweet potato. Okay, so those two, perfect, no brainer. Now, Chardonnay is going to do really well also. Okay, that Chardonnay that we talked about has a little bit more depth. It's also got a touch of, oak influence in there, but it's not overwhelming. So we got a beautiful minerality that can stand up with certainly any of our carb heavy favorites. That stuffing, those mashed potatoes, especially if there's butter. Okay, Chardonnay is no exception. All three of these whites are perfect with holiday food pairing. Now, talking about the reds real quick, I specifically mentioned that Cabernet Franc being chillable. You could technically chill to this guy. It's Valpolicella as well. I mean, and talking about it, you could also technically chill our Pinot Noir. Okay, so really any of these could withstand a little bit of a chill. And these sort of like medium to lighter bodied reds with this kind of like medium to lower amounts of tannin are usually some of the most food-friendly wine options like on the planet. So they're low levels of tannin, they're more moderate structure, they're more moderate acidity, really help to pair perfectly with like texture and intensity of poultry. So hello, turkey. There's where that comes into play. And the slight earthiness, especially of all three of those, we mentioned, especially with those first two, that earthiness and even that green billed pepper, that herbaceousness coming through with our Cabernet Franc, that's going to complement umami-rich flavors of sauces and gravy. So all three of those wines test out, okay, with any kind of intensity of poultry. Again, that turkey. Anything with a slight bit of earthiness. Anything that has, a little bit of umami-rich flavors. Any sort of sauces, gravy. Mushrooms. Good. Even green bean casserole. I know oftentimes that has, the cream of mushroom or something in it. Okay, that'd be great as well. So just overall, in general, you guys, try to match your red fruit flavors, try to match your white fruit flavors with their ideal kind of food pairing partners, thinking about textures and flavors and what you're going to expect in the food. Because even if you don't know what you're going to expect in the wine, we just gave you at least a general, we ran down what to, kind of an idea of what they're going to be like. So even if you haven't opened it yet or tasted it, that will be helpful, but you know what you're going to get out of the foods. So take that guide, use this video reference, and it'll help you kind of pair out your holiday table. Okay, your wine and food pairings. So the other only thing I want to touch on too, especially with that Cabernet Franc, the kind of like tardiness, bright, really fresh fruit, and those spices, that sort of zesty thing that I was talking about too. And even with that Pinot Noir, okay, those fall spices like the clove, the allspice, the five spice, that's going to be great with like our cranberry sauce. Okay, bringing kind of these tart flavors. So keeping in mind, again, our fruit flavor profiles matching our wine flavor profiles, and then the acidity structures, which you guys we already covered all of this with everything that we talked about. So I know I'm rambling a little bit, but if you have any questions at all, okay, in regards to food pairing, your Thanksgiving tables, matching wines with foods, if you have something that I didn't call out already, that you guys are going to be eating, or if you want other recipe ideas, other wine ideas, please, please, please let me know. That is what I am here for. I know that this has been a very quick hour of tasting and diving into your 6 fall wines. So I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I just strongly encourage you to talk to me. chat with me, keep in contact with me. That is what I am here for, and I am here for you. So I want to continue the conversation. Again, if you need any help at all, just please let me know. But I certainly hope that you enjoy these special fall selections, and just don't hesitate to reach out with any other questions. I can't wait to see you guys all again in winter and taste through those wines, which we almost have all set. So enjoy, you guys, and happy start to the holiday season. We're here. Cheers.